Welcome everyone to the new Zelda Dungeon Mailbag. Oh yeah.
Look, I'm Corey. I can
Get
dance.
moving.
Oh,
Look
at my mug,
Spicy hot
everybody.
questions.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite Zelda character, Princess Jasmine.
We got a lot of questions to pull from, which is pretty good. We're not going to get to them all once again, but please leave more down below, and we'll eventually answer them all, I'm sure. We got a lot of Tears of the Kingdom questions after that last trailer, so I think it'll be fun to dive into some of that stuff. So Adam Baranek says, now that we've seen a few more types of objects being manipulated by the green hand thing that Link possesses, what are some other things you guys think we'll be able to do with those new powers?
Fighting with just a branch won't get us very far. Also, this branch is almost broken. So here's another one of Link's new abilities.
Driving the car.
Yeah.
He's dripping.
I'm thinking
He's got that drip. Link got that drip.
Link got that drip. I think that's probably going to be a big one. There's going to be some sort of, seems like there's going to be some sort of like crafting or like combining different pieces mechanic thing, because a bunch of those pieces had that little emblem whatever on it that we've seen on a few things so far, and I'm getting the idea that you can kind of piece those together with that weird green goop, which is henceforth called goddess glue, and make your own little contraptions and vehicles and stuff. I think that's probably going to be something like that might be in the game.
One that I was thinking of is some kind of rune that would be able to like multiply items. Like, if you were to have a block and you could make a second block just like bloop right out of it.
Oh.
You know?
Like the Mario cherry power up.
Yeah. Something like that. Because there could be a lot of puzzles that might have answers to something like that. The other one being a little inspired by Minish Cap, being able to shrink the size of items or even make them bigger.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
So I think like item manipulation kind of seems to be like part of what this game is going to be.
Maybe it would be cool if like there are spots, not just in the overworld to go back and forth between the islands, but like maybe in dungeons or bigger structures, there are like spots on the floor or the ceiling where you can kind of phase in between floors, you know?
Yo, I'm excited for this game.
I know.
Julie Burns TV says, we've seen some dotted changes to the landscape. How do you predict specific self-contained areas will change?
I feel like they have to change the geography of certain, especially if we're in the same overworld, they got to do things to make a pretty big difference. And there was actually something that I saw that, shout out to Al. Al posted some pictures. She did some homework of like actually going to the locations in Breath of the Wild where some of the shots from the most recent trailers were. Ooh. And one thing I noticed is in the section when Link is riding the minecart thing, if you look down below, you can't really see any magma anymore. It's like in the Death Mountain-y area, but the spot where there should be like a pool of magma kind of looks almost like cooled to me. So I think it would be interesting if maybe like, because whatever malice is happening, like that whole area has like cooled down and hardened, or maybe certain parts of a different area, because pieces of the sky are going upwards. We've talked about this. Maybe it opens up like a cave system or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially in the mountainous areas, I feel like you could do a lot like in those mountains as opposed to just having like, oh, it's a huge rock face that I either have to climb up or go around.
Well, okay, Rito Village is in the sky.
Well,
in the last trailer, you could see the perch. It's way up in the sky.
They can handle it.
If anyone's going to be able to have it up there, it's probably the Ritos, so they're probably fine.
Or what if this is like, you know how they're like in Wind Waker, the oceans rose, so then like the Zora became the Rito? What if this turned them back into Zoras?
No, there's no more
They're
Rito.
too high up, like, so they can't fly anymore.
There was too much air, so we turned into Zoras.
Yeah.
They just turn into air molecules. They turn into like cloud people.
They turn
just
into
keep going.
Uga.
So Radiant Noir says, if the three-headed dragon seen in the trailer ends up being Gleeok, which we've been hoping for Gleeok, what other classic bosses would you like to see return?
Helm Rock King. Helm Rock King.
Yeah.
Helm Rock
Good
King.
choice.
Oh my god, how cool would that be? It's like a Talus, but even cooler.
Trinix. I think
Oh, Trinix.
they should bring back as many of the big like dinosaur/dragons that they can.
100%.
You know what would be cool? Just one enemy that we only saw one time and then never again. Medusa Head. Bring back Medusa Head.
Medusa Head. What about
Bring
the
back-
river demon?
Yeah, bring back the River Demon.
God, you
Bring
guys.
back Horse Head and Helmet Head.
Okay,
Horse head
what
would
about
be awesome. Actually.
Rebanak.
So here's something that I feel like is basically confirmed. In Breath of the Wild, the area, like the trail that leads up to Lanayru, where you fight there's the memory right there and there's the Lionel. That area used to be called like the Spider's Nest or something like that before Breath of the Wild even came out. Like in the game code, like it's called the
really?
Spider's Nest. So my thought is we've got to get Skulltulas. Like we
Goma?
have to. Like
Or
yeah,
Goma.
give us Goma. Like I'm just surprised. I think about it and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, there's no Skulltulas in Breath of the Wild. And it feels like there would have been, but there wasn't.
You know what would be a triumphant return too is Patra. Oh, and you could use those new arrows that like home in on the enemies to get the eyeballs.
Give us Gomez. Where's Gomez?
Yeah.
Oh,
Give us all the
Where's
Majora's
Master
Mask
Garo?
bosses.
Come on.
Yeah.
Tanner Vase. What if they just went overboard and brought back a version of every enemy in the series?
That
Oh,
honestly
that's
might be too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But I hope we see a lot more types of enemies. You know, like I'd like to see some more variety. I think we're getting some of that, right?
Bring back the Cuke Man.
Sorry, who?
The Cuke Man from Link's Awakening. The Buzz Blob, when you hit him with the
and he's
magic
like,
dust, he turns into the
Oh,
Cuke Man with the eyes.
Okay.
Paimon, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys, because we've seen, as part of this new trailer, we saw those crazy bat-like things. It's not confirmed whether that's a brand new thing or a variation on like a previous enemy, but
Like a card
If
rock
you-
or something.
yeah. But if you had to go one way or the other, and they asked you, and they were like, all right, we're going to put a bunch more new enemies into this game that weren't in Breath of the Wild, would you rather have mostly returning enemies come back in a new Breath of the Wild form, or would you rather have like completely brand new enemies never seen in the series before?
I think I'd rather have completely brand new enemies.
I think it depends because I think they're clearly probably more designed around like the concept of bringing. I don't know if bringing in the enemy is specifically what they think of first. You know, they probably think like, oh, we need like a bunch of common enemies for you to kill. Okay, well, Bokoblins, you know, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But then with some of these other ones, like I don't know. You speculated that bat enemy could be a Vire, and I think it might as well be. That's basically my opinion. Is it like if they, because I'm guessing they didn't put that in there to include Vires. I'm sure they had more of an idea of what they want this enemy to be.
Sure, they want to serve the gameplay first, but
And I think I would always think it's cool if it happens to suit, you know, an enemy that already exists. It's like, okay, well, let's make it that, you know. So I think whatever works for the game, you know. I like adding new creatures in, you know, like Breath of the Wild added in a whole bunch of stuff, like the Guardians basically,
yeah.
that's like a whole new concept in a way. So yeah, I don't know. I think they should bring back old enemies, but it should be, you know, appropriate. Obviously, not just,
That's fair.
hey, let's put Horsehead in there because we need a Horsehead.
I mean, why
But
not?
they should put him in there. Maximal 99334 asks, big question still remains. Will dungeons return, or if not, what will replace them?
I think we're getting dungeons.
I think we're getting real deal dungeons.
I do.
Okay.
I hope.
Is that it? Care to elaborate?
I've mentioned it before, the giant storm cloud, right? There's that big circling storm cloud that we've seen in like every trailer that I swear is like gonna be some thundercloud dungeon, or it's something similar to like Skyward Sword's thundercloud. I don't know. I just want it to be a dungeon because the idea of a thunder dungeon, like a big storm dungeon, is so cool. So I'm like,
That'd be rad.
Oh, I hope so.
That makes me because it's like in the sky, right? Too.
Yeah.
It's like there's all these floating islands. It makes me think of Fair Missoula.
Oh, it totally does.
But,
Little Elden Ring.
Would that be cool though? Like, not if it was exactly like that, but it makes me think of like that feels like it's just like a big area, but it's really a dungeon. You know what I mean?
It is.
So that would be cool to like explore this whole giant area of the map that's like low key like a dungeon.
Yeah,
would be cool.
So I do think we're gonna get dungeons, but I don't think they're gonna be dungeons in the sense of like how like what people are calling traditional Zelda dungeons, like we see in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, stuff like that. Yeah. I think they're probably gonna take what worked with the Divine Beasts, which is kind of like the open air puzzle solving thing, and combine it with what worked with like Hyrule Castle, where it's like a big actual structure with actual progression that makes sense and stuff, and kind of combine those. So maybe we'll get like a big labyrinth type structure that functions as a dungeon, but it's not like it's like something similar to the Divine Beasts, where it's like you have to go to specific points in the dungeon, and it's not so much like get a dungeon item, get the boss key, go to the boss.
Yeah, I do think we're going to be getting some kinds of upgrades for our arm. Like the first trailer that showed the dragon arm cannon fire breathing thing. I feel like those are going to just be upgrades that we get instead of like weapons that we pick up. It really feels like it's just going to be something that you upgrade your arm. And maybe that's what the spirally green things are. I don't know. But I could see that being like dungeon rewards. Also thinking like, as far as like types of upgrades go, I don't know. I'm really hoping that we get just more. Think of like the side quests. Almost every side quest in Breath of the Wild has a very useless reward, right? Like, oh, here's a meal. Here's a hydromelon. It's like, okay. And they were using it to like get you to explore and get you to try cooking and, you know, stuff like that. But the rewards didn't really feel worth it most of the time. So I'm hoping rewards and power-ups and stuff like that are maybe a little bit more, just more, you know? That's just me. But
I wouldn't mind too bad as long as like the quest, it's got to have like 2 of 3 things. I feel like the actual quest has to be fun to do, or it has a fun story, or the reward is good. And I feel like it should have 2 of the 3 things. And like there was a lot of quests that had both, or sometimes all 3 even. But then there were some times where the quest was like, hey, could you collect some sticks for me? And then you bring them sticks and they're like, hey, here's sometimes none. It was just like not very interesting, you know?
Yeah.
It was a mixed bag though. It wasn't all bad, you know.
There's some good ones. Even like Eventide Island. That's a fan favorite, and that's not rewards wise, it's the same as all the other shrines, you know? But I think that quest was cool enough where like it is its own reward because it's just a super fun thing to do.
It's super fun.
I think there could be a mix.
It's memorable, like the story aspect of it is super memorable.
Even though there's not like a final boss necessarily or anything like that for Eventide, I feel like Eventide is actually the closest we got to a real dungeon in Breath of the Wild. Even more so than the Divine Beasts, because it's so secluded. It's like entirely its own thing. It's its own quest, and you can go and do it whenever, and it really just feels like a full challenge, whereas the Divine Beasts are like boop 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 boop, boss, get your ability. I think they're really fun. I love the Divine Beasts, but they don't feel like dungeons.
That one's the most dungeony.
Naboris is definitely dungeony for sure.
I like the concept of those. To me. I think we've talked about it. Like I like the concept, but some of them it doesn't. Like Naboris is one where it feels like there's navigation at play, and you gotta like think about where you are and where the things are. Whereas like I feel like Meadow, for example, is one where it just feels like 5 shrines glued together, and they have a overarching mechanic like tilting the thing. but
Yeah.
like room to room, it's not really fun. It's kind of just like, hey, go check out these 5 different challenges.
Yeah.
I like the feel of the Divine Beasts. They do feel dungeony to me, and I think they lend that kind of like open air space with that all share a mechanic to solve the puzzle. I feel like that lends to awesome puzzle design.
Yeah.
But I feel like the biggest problem with those was like they all feel very samey. Even like in one dungeon after a while, it's like, all right, I've been in this same brownish spot fighting these same malice heads for however long, and they gotta mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I hope they do.
For sure.
I think they will.
Those were, all Tears of the Kingdom questions, but please leave us some more. You can ask about whatever you want, but we're so close to Tears of the Kingdom, so we'll probably want to be talking about that, right? Hype level is bubbling up.
Oh yeah.
What are we, 2 months away now, or
Yeah.
2 months away?
Just under.
We're getting close.
All right. Well, cool. We'll be until then, we'll be answering more of your Zelda questions. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.